question will be Senator Gorton.
Mr. Fitzgerald, I think we on the Commission and all Americans owe you a great debt of gratitude for your ability to deal within the law and the Constitution, with terrorists after they have been captured and charged with all of the due process of the law. I'd like to add to that admiration, my admiration for the profound nature of your written statement here today, on motivations and on causes. It's one of the best written statements I've seen during the entire life of this commission. But very close to the beginning of that statement, you make the following observation. First and foremost, Al-Qaeda is driven by its ideology, which fundamentally opposes our way of life and our system of laws, with no room for negotiation or accommodation. The belief in martyrdom, a glorious death, and violent jihad that qualifies one for paradise pervades Al-Qaeda members' thinking. And in the very next sentence, you manage to connect that directly or indirectly with a 14th century Islam scholar. My question to you is in your view, that ideology fundamentally religiously driven, however perverted those religious ideas may be?
I would agree with that. It's driven by religion, but a warped version of Islam. There are a billion Muslims in the world who don't buy into that.
Exactly. And then its view of history, of economy, of politics, all stems from that, what we could say, perverted religious point of view.
Yes, when we first talked to the fellow Junior or Al-Fadl, who was the Al-Qaeda defector, when he first sat down and talked to us, he at one point said, you really don't have horns in your heads. And that's what they've been brainwashed in the camps to think. They thought we were all evil, and they've been brainwashed into this ideology. So that's the mindset they're coming from.
And that particular ideology, when you deal with people with no room for negotiation or accommodation, is peculiarly difficult for Westerners from a completely different culture. And is it your view that in many respects, when we get to those basic causes, it's only going to be met, by other Muslims who profoundly disagree with it and feel that it is damaging to them and to their balance of their culture?
I think, as I think Commissioner Gorelick mentioned, we need to win the hearts and the minds of the other people so they will stand up and call these people to account, that they will aid us in the fight against terrorism, and to the extent that we need to take a military action, that countries will allow us to use their countries as bases of support or not oppose us, because we need to win over the people to our side who are not in that extremist camp.
Mr. Pistole, do you and the FBI agree with those general statements that Mr. Fitzgerald has set out?
Yes, Senator. We view this as a generational issue that is worldwide, that is something that's not a short-term fix, and it may be tantamount to a 100-year war. This is something that goes on until these hearts and minds, as have been mentioned, can be changed, so we don't have young men and women who are brought up to learn to hate Americans, Jews, anybody who is not conforming to their ideology.
Mr. Davis and Dr. K.
I definitely agree with that portrayal. I think there is really no accommodation with what bin Laden represents. Even, you could go to the extreme of saying the United States were to eliminate its support for Israel, get out of the Middle East, and stop exporting all our goods and culture to that part of the world. And would that make a difference? Well, I don't know, but I just don't think there's any accommodation here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.